So today's review is brought to you by OneStopToyShop.com. That's where I got this figure from, and that's where you can too, because he's getting shipments in as we speak. Shipping before, Mezco themselves are shipping orders from their own site. So if you guys want a Wolverine a little bit sooner, then check out OneStopToyShop.com. I'll link them down below in the description. So this is the long-awaited Mezco 112 Collective Wolverine, the X-Men Jim Lee classic animated type tiger stripe look. However you want to describe this look, here it is in Mezco 112 form. Long awaited. This is technically a 2.0 since Mezco did make a 1.0 version many years ago, which was a grail for most people up until now that we have a better version. Very nice artwork on the front. I like that. It's like a comic book image of Wolverine. We also get the classic X-Men logo at the top right corner. A very dope image on the sides. And on the back side, rather than showing what it comes with, it just shows the same image there. So this isn't any regular release. This is more of a deluxe type of release since he does come with quite a pretty cool base here. We have a Sentinel base. This gives me Toy Biz vibes so much. This is something that Mezco really doesn't do too much, but I hope they do more in the future. Now, I know that's going to drive up the price, but you are going to get more for what you are paying for sure. You have a ton of accessories here, a ton of hands and effects, and then this really cool Sentinel base that also lights up too, and that is supposed to flicker like that. It's an awesome effect. Even the torso here is flickering as well. Let's see if I turn this light off, if you can see that a little bit better, just like that. Check that out. Pretty cool. Let's turn them all off. And that's what it looks like. It pretty much lights up the torso and the two eyes, and that's about it. Very cool effect overall, and you just have to press this button right here to get that to go. It does come with the 3 AAA batteries included, which is a nice bonus as well. Most things nowadays that require batteries don't give you the batteries with it anymore, so it's nice to see that included. Now this may be a base that's included, but he also does come with a standard Mezco Toyz, that round circular base with the X on it that every single Mezco 112 Collect comes with. And there's also a switch at the bottom of this base to turn it off in case you don't want to, kill the battery. Also, I do recommend taking the batteries out if you don't use it so often so it doesn't corrode your figure. But before we get to the base, we'll take a closer look at the base, but let's take a closer look at the actual main attraction of the release, which is this Wolverine figure here. And he comes packed in with this classic head sculpt. Now, he comes with a total of seven, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but 7 head sculpts. This might be one of the most head sculpts I've ever seen packed in with a figure in general. I mean, I don't collect every single action figure ever made. I could be wrong about that, but that is still a whopping amount of head sculpts, and it is, it's awesome because we are paying quite a bit for this release. It's not a cheap figure. I think it's about 150 or so, but you're getting a lot of things with it. Alright, of course he has this one right here, which you guys have just seen, but here's a little closer shot at it. We even get a head sculpt number 2 for the classic look, and this time he's just a little bit more upset. You can see the teeth are sculpted onto this one. Then of course we get our neutral, normal face expression here. This is just your normal Wolverine. Alright, now he's starting to get a little bit irritated and annoyed. He's not so happy anymore. Alright, now you really pissed him off, and here he is totally upset and definitely ready to get in a fight. Alright, now the fight's over, and you can see his adamantium skeleton from within there. Very nice detailing, very gnarly looking. You even get some hair sculpted coming out of the mask as well. Very cool. And now we're getting into the unmasked head sculpts. We get 2 of these, and this time I added in the, of course, mask draping down, because once you have the unmasked head, it only makes sense that his mask is there dangling, or you can put it in his hand or whatnot. So we get this one. And we get this one here with the hair sculpt is slightly different and the face looks phenomenal. And this is actually head sculpt number 8. I made a mistake. There's actually 8 head sculpts, not 7, but 8. Unreal. So a very nice amount of head sculpts overall. I really like them all. I mean, my least favorites being the classic look. That's just my preference because I like the more modern look better. But yeah, man, all these look great. Alright, so here we have the hand accessories, and there is a total of 6 pairs of hands. That is, of course, counting the pair of fists that are on the figure out of the box right here. And then these are your extra hands. So first off, without the blades or the claws, we get this pair here. The right hand is slightly pointing, and then the left hand is just kind of like a grabby pose there. And then these two are both grabby or grappling, or however you want to say it. Both clawless. And now moving on to the claws, we get two adamantium clawed hands. This one is open hand. And of course, Mezco always does a fantastic job with their Wolverine claws. These are awesome, just like their previous ones. And then our second adamantium set of claws are fisted hands here, which makes sense, of course. And then lastly, we have the bone claws. So if you don't want the adamantium claws, you can choose to do bone claws, and these are very nicely painted and sculpted as well, you can see. And these are all fisted hands here. So only one pair of bone claws. The rest are going to be adamantium. Those are your hand sculpts. Now to go along with your hand sculpts, we get a total of 4 effects here. And these are pretty much blade slashing effects. And this is something new from Mezco. I haven't really seen them do this before in their previous Wolverine figures. So this is just another awesome accessory here. And the way these are supposed to work is that, of course, you plug in the end of the claw. It only goes in so much, it doesn't go entirely in. But you just got to position it in there correctly and then get it to balance pretty much there. And you can pose them up with some cool effects right there. So that's nice to see. We get this one right here, and then we get another one. So these are all slightly different. Check this one out here. Again, plugs right in, or should plug right in. Let's see if I can get it to go in on camera. There you go. That one's pretty easy. So there's this one here. And then we get another one, guys. There is, oh, actually, whoa, I didn't see this. This was combined. So actually there is a total of 5 effects. This one was combined, and I thought that was one. Here's this one right here. And then the same one over here, of course, let's get the other hand. So one thing I do notice, at least in this one, it really does separate the blades quite a bit. Scares me a little bit, but I don't think they're going to break. I think they're flexible to a certain extent. You don't want to go too far, but I mean, these are made for the effects, so I assume they're not going to snap doing that. And then the last one here is this very cool X effect. It's pretty much just Wolverine slashing in an X, I guess, direction with both of his claws. And you can see some holes in every corner, so you can plug in the hands, I assume, in whichever one you want. And you should be able to get them posed up with it. So a lot of fun factor here with this release. 5 total effects. They're all the same color. They're this clear, transparent color, but they're all different. Different sizes, different designs, and different possibilities, pretty much. So that's another extra nice added thing here on this deluxe release. I'm classifying it as a deluxe release. It's not a Mezco deluxe, because I know Mezco classifies MDXs as deluxes, but it's not an exclusive. It's a regular release, but definitely is packed full with a lot of things here. We're not even on the Sentinel yet, you know. Let's not forget the figure. So let's go ahead and get a closer look at the figure, and then we'll move on to Sentinel. So here's our new and improved Wolverine Mezco 112 Collective figure. I think from my understanding, the previous one was a MDX exclusive that was kind of hard to come by. I think it was a toy fair or some kind of event exclusive back when, back when I wasn't even collecting this line. So I totally missed out on that. I don't have it to compare them to. This one definitely looks better than all the images I've seen of the previous one. So let's take a look. So we got the fabric cloth on his torso and legs, and everything else is plastic here. So we got some hair painted on to the arms there. And one thing I did notice is how tight these joints are. Super, super tight. Down to the belt. And now that we're here, I can finally show you guys the alternate belt he comes with. So he has the red belt, and then also you can switch out the buckle so he can have the X buckle. And then we get the trunks here, which are a piece of fabric that is over the yellow. It's not stitched onto the yellow or part of the yellow at all. So that's cool. From my understanding, the previous one was stitched along with the yellow, and it just didn't look too great. So his head sits on a ball jointed barbell peg, and also the neck is articulated too, so it's going to move up along with it. We do get a little bit of a gap here once it goes all the way up though, so I guess you can want to try to leave the neck down a little and then just move the head. The head alone moves quite a bit. You can see there, almost too much. And then he looks down a lot, left and right a lot. You can see the barbell peg right there. Of course, we do get a lot of head tilting, pretty deep, pretty nice. Left and right, no issues. These shoulder pads are on a hinge here. Let's see if I can get that to focus. Check that out. So that's the design they went with on their shoulder pads there. So you can kind of move it around and it won't hinder too much of the movement. Let's see how much that plays into this. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not bad. Arms go all the way out, pretty far. They go back down. We get the arms going forward and back, right there. Same as over here. That also does help to cover, because once you do that, you can kind of see right there, and it helps. It helps to cover as long as it doesn't pop off. Let's get that back in place, and then we do get a bicep swivel. Again, the arms are just super tight on this figure. There's also a butterfly joint. I almost missed it, but it is there. You can kind of check that out like that. Then there is a double jointed elbow, although I think it's only gonna bend a little bit more than a 90-degree angle. So it's not crazy, but it's a little bit more than a 90-degree bend. He's got some beefy, thick arms, so that's pretty much the main reason for that. We get a ball jointed wrist on the hand, hinges, swivels, and then the torso, of course, it has that diaphragm joint, so we do get the twist there and the crunching forward and back. There is a waist swivel too. Legs are gonna kick forward. I kind of want to. I'm kind of scared, but it is what it is. I don't want to crinkle up the suit too badly, but the legs do kick forward all the way. They go back down. Let's see how he does the splits here. Well, the right leg goes all the way out, and then the left one kind of stops. So that's a bit odd, but you can get them. Let's see if I leave the right leg down. Oh yeah. So I guess. Oh, check that out. Now it's working. So yeah, he does this full split. It got stuck in the beginning, as you guys saw. We do get a thigh swivel, double jointed knee. The fabric is pretty good, man. It's tight enough and it's loose enough so it doesn't hinder any of the articulation. I mean, at this point, Mezco is pros at this stuff, so really didn't expect it to not work. The ankles will move. They do rock. They do swivel and they do move forward and back. Not crazy amounts, but there is some movement there. Alright, so we will move on to the Sentinel next, but before we do that, let's check out the final accessory, which has to do with the Sentinel, so I saved it for this portion. That is the Sentinel's eyeball. So you can have a decapitated or a torn off eyeball of the Sentinel in Wolverine's hand. So here's a close look at the Sentinel. Very highly detailed and painted. This thing is a work of art for sure, and it's pretty big. I mean, here's my hand. There it is in my hand. I mean, it's pretty darn big. And then here it is, of course, next to the actual figure. If I kind of do it like this, get an idea next to his, I guess, his head. So this is, well, there goes his eye. You can stick it in there. It's still going to kind of stick out, but probably what it's meant for. So this is just something I can see a lot of toy photographers utilizing quite a bit in their shots. Of course, you're going to have to put some rubble around it since it's just a torso and the hand. It's kind of weird if you just use this piece and you got to add in some broken buildings and rubble around them to make it look like the Sentinel is buried and just barely sticking his upper torso up. Now, overall scale-wise, as we saw, I mean, it's probably not to scale depending on how big the Sentinel is, but normally Sentinels are a little bit bigger. Here, this makes a little sense since this is the battle damage head of the HasLab. And next to this one, you can just see it's pretty good. I mean, it's smaller for sure. The Mezco one is smaller, but it's not too small. It's still pretty darn close to the scale of this head sculpt right here. So, I don't know, you tell me. Now, obviously, the hand is nowhere near as big as the HasLab Sentinel's hand. Here is the HasLab Sentinel battle damage hand. And then here it is next to the hand for the Mezco base. So obviously it's nowhere near the same size. This one you can really see the difference for sure, but the heads are pretty darn close. So it's not too bad. Alright, so here we have him next to the X-Force Wolverine Mezco 112 Collective. And fun fact, this was actually my very first Mezco 1/12 collective figure I ever purchased, the one that got me into the line. So it's pretty fitting that we have my first ever and my most recent Mezco ever side by side here, and they're both Wolverines, and you could just see the drastic difference between the two and how far they've come. Pretty much the previous Tiger Stripe Wolverine from Mezco was utilizing this body. It was just kind of a repaint, of course, of this. So you kind of get an idea of what the old one would be, but not really. I don't know, it's the best I could do since I don't have that Tiger Stripe Wolverine. But I can compare these two very similar head sculpts. I went ahead and swapped the head and gave him pretty much the same expression that this X-Force one has. And you can just see the pretty good difference there in terms of sculpt and just overall look and quality of it. And then here is the Mezco 1/12 Collective Jim Lee Cyclops with the bomber jacket on, and you could just get the sense of scale here. His legs are a little bit spread, so he is kind of standing a little shorter than usual, but he's still taller than Wolverine, which he should be, so the scale is pretty spot on. Alright, so I don't want to drag on the comparisons too long because there is a million Wolverine figures I could compare it next to, but I do want to do a few specific Marvel Legends Wolverine, so we'll start off with this one here since this Mezco does come with the same head sculpt and the same design. We have this classic type of head sculpt here, and they're both pretty much doing the same expression here with the teeth gridded and showing there. So you get an idea of what they both look like next to each other. You can choose which one you prefer. And I even swapped out the belt here, so they have the same exact belt. And then this time we have the unmasked version of Tiger Stripe Wolverine Marvel Legends here next to our unmasked head sculpt for the Mezco 1/12, and then I even swapped out the belt buckle here to match the same belt buckle on this one here. Alright, so not quite the same pose, but I tried my best here, and this is the Marvel Legends VHS Retro Box, recently released Wolverine with the cell shading, and they have the new ears on this one here, so you can get an idea of what that looks like next to the new ears on this Wolverine. And overall, of course, the Marvel Legends version is a little bit easier to pose around since he does not have fabric clothing limiting any type of articulation. But that's not to say that the Mezco one isn't posable or anything like that. It's just a little bit more difficult, and you can definitely get the Marvel Legends version in some more agile, athletic poses, if you will. And this one is more of a fair fight here. I mean, when you're comparing a $100 figure next to a $25 to $30 figure Marvel Legend, it's not too fair, of course. But when you're comparing two figures that are pretty much the same price, then we're getting somewhere here. Now, if you take away the Sentinel base from this Wolverine is about $80 to $100, which is what this Mayfix Wolverine cost. It was like $80 to $100 after shipping and all that stuff. So they're about roughly around the same price range. Now, big differences here, of course, we get fabric clothing on Mezco 1/12, as we all know, but we also get 8 head sculpts with this Wolverine. And this Wolverine on the right side, the Mayfix one, only came with 2, and that was an unmasked head and a teeth sculpted, gridded head sculpt right here, which is pretty much mandatory for all Wolverines. So if we compare that next to the Mezco, take your pick. Let me know what you guys prefer. And then, of course, the unmasked head, which we got here with Mayfix. A little bit more cartoony and animated, but if we get them next to one of the 2 Mezco ones, there's this one, and then more preferably next to this one, because the hair sculpts are a little bit similar, and so are the little hairs on the forehead. So there you have it. That's my review of the Mezco 1/12 Collective X-Men Tiger Stripe Wolverine 2.0 figure with the Sentinel base. Overall, this is a great figure, man. Definitely a upgrade over the previous Mezco Tiger Stripe Wolverine. If that's something you've been eyeing for many, many years, you can pretty much pass up on it unless you're a completionist. If you want the better version, this is going to be it, in my opinion. It's a great Wolverine, and might be one of the best Wolverines on the market right now. It's arguable. Again, there's a debate. Is it better than the Mayfix? Is it not? Is it better than Marvel Legends? Are you okay with the Marvel Legends? Do you need all these accessories? Do you want all these options or not? I don't know. It's up to you. It's a lot of options when it comes to Wolverine, but this is definitely a great figure. That's something I can say. Just a few gripes. One, being the belt always rides up when I try to pose him in any way where I bend his legs. That belt's gonna ride up since it's a different piece. I meant to say a separate piece, so it's a little annoying, but again, nothing crazy there. So overall, it's a great figure. If you like it, be sure to check out the link down in the description below once again for One Stop Toy Shop. They have them. They're getting more in, but he is running out. He did tell me. So if you're thinking about ordering this figure, then I recommend you make a decision pretty quick before it runs out, and of course, inevitably it's gone forever. Thank you once again for watching. Hit the like button down below. I would really appreciate it. Comment your thoughts, of course, and consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. As always, everyone, take care, take it easy, and I will catch you on the next one.